At this time, the Catholic Church is mourning the sudden death of Pope Pius in Rome and prepares for the papal conclave to elect a new pope. Meanwhile, the Camerlengo Patrick McKenna assumes temporary control of the Vatican, under the supervision of Father Silvano Bentivoglio and Dr. Vittoria Vetra. The European Organization for Nuclear Research creates 3 vials of antimatter particles, larger than any that has ever been produced before. Father Silvano is killed, and one of the vials of antimatter goes missing. Symbiologist Robert Langdon is summoned to help locate the missing vial.
Why me?
Your expertise. Professor Langdon.
The Illuminati themselves have returned to Rome.
Inspector General of the Vatican Police Force.
My pleasure.
We received another threat from the kidnapper.
A man claiming to be the Illuminati kidnaps 4 of the preferiti before the conclave enters seclusion and threatens to kill one candidate every hour from 8 p.m. to midnight, when he will eventually destroy all of the Vatican City using the missing vial of antimatter as a bomb. After listening to the Illuminati's message, Robert deduces that the 4 cardinals will die at the 4 altars of the part of illumination marked by statues of angels in several locations relevant to the 4 classical elements: earth, air, fire, and water. Robert requests for access to the archives of the Vatican, but is refused by Commander Maximilian Richter, the head of the Swiss Guard, whose primary concern at the moment is the safety of the cardinals. But Patrick, the Camerlengo, assures the commander of their safety and grants Robert access to the Vatican's secret archives.
The path of illumination is a hidden trail through Rome itself. You called me. Destruction of Vatican City through light. If I can find the segno, the sign. Geez, you guys don't even read your own history, do you?
Do you believe in God, sir?
Faith is a gift that I have yet to receive.
Robert and Vittoria examines Galileo Galilei's banned book, where they successfully find clues to the first altar, believing it to be at the Pantheon. Vittoria tears off a piece of the book, and together they make their way to the first altar, accompanied by Inspector General Ernesto Olivetti and Claudio Vincenzi of the Vatican Gendarmerie Corps. Meanwhile, the cardinals are seen making their way into the conclave, during which Patrick approaches Cardinal Strauss, who believes they should proceed to the sealing of conclave. But Patrick thinks it's too late for the process to commence, stating that everyone in the Vatican City must be evacuated away from an imminent explosion. But Cardinal Strauss refuses his plea and instructs him to seal the doors of the conclave. While they search for clues, the assassin receives payment from his employers. One of the kidnapped cardinals assures him that the conclave will go on without them, but he tells them to worry about what he is about to do. Robert and Vittoria arrive at the Pantheon, the oldest Catholic church in Rome, a very busy area in the Vatican. On their arrival inside of the Pantheon, Robert eventually discovers that the first altar is at the Chigi Chapel and not the Pantheon, so they drive off to the chapel, and on their arrival it seems to be in shambles. Robert finds the demon's hole, and together they open the covering, revealing Cardinal Ebner, who has been murdered by way of suffocation with soil and branded with an ambigrammatic word, earth. While Cardinal Strauss leads the conclave, the whole world waits patiently for the emergence of the next pope. Robert discovers a clue left at a Bernini statue at the Chigi Chapel, concluding that the second altar is a Bernini-created sculpture in St. Peter's Square, which is flooded by multitudes of people who are unaware of what is ongoing in the Vatican. They find a sculpture with something to do with air, but are unable to save Cardinal Lamas, whose lungs are punctured and his body branded with air, leaving him to die amidst the crowd. The assassin is once more seen at the crime scene, but is not known by anyone yet. Behind closed doors, a threatening note left on Lamasse's body causes Vittoria to suspect that the Pope did not die of a stroke, but was murdered with an overdose of tinzaparin, which he took for his thrombophlebitis. Unsure about what actually killed the Holy Father, Patrick takes Vittoria along to secretly inspect the Pope's body, while Robert returns to the Vatican archives for further research.
Once again, the cardinals have failed to reach consensus.
He takes out a book for Vincenzi to translate, and together, they identify the Santa Maria della Vittoria as the altar of fire. The systems in the archive is shut down, and the oxygen levels begin to reduce, forcing both men to panic while Patrick takes Vittoria and some guards to inspect the Pope's body. When the Pope's body is uncovered, it becomes clear that he died of an overdose and not stroke. Meanwhile, Vincenzi passes out, while Robert struggles to get them out of the archives, which is also a fortified bank. Robert shoots at the bulletproof glass but runs out of air. Minutes later, the glass shatters and both men regain consciousness. Robert and Olivetti race to the third altar, and along the way, Robert suspects that the Illuminati has infiltrated the Swiss Guard, which is the only reasonable explanation for the shutdown of the archive systems. Vittoria notices that her journals are missing and later discovers that Maximilian took it and has refused to give it back until he finds it's no use to their investigations. Meanwhile, the Camerlengo Patrick reopens the conclave, and after getting the attention of the cardinals, he claims the church is under attack by the Illuminati, whom he claims murdered the Pope, threatening the church with destruction by the hand of their new god science. He claims that the church must defend itself, and pleads that the conclave be broken and thousands of people at St. Peter's Square evacuated. On their arrival at the Santa Maria della Vittoria, they are unable to save Cardinal Guerra from being burnt to death despite attempts to rescue him, which is resisted by the assassin who brutally takes the guards out as the cardinal burns to death with his body branded with an ambigrammatic word fire. Robert manages to escape after Olivetti and Vincenzi are murdered. Just outside the conclave, Cardinal Strauss informs Patrick that the College of Cardinals will not break conclave and suggests that he devotes his energy in finding the explosive device. By the time the firefighters arrive, Cardinal Guerra is long gone, along with the guards who attempted to rescue him, except for Robert, who was lucky enough to escape and is rescued. After consulting a map of Rome, Robert is able to identify the final altar as Piazza Navona's Four Rivers sculpture. Robert and two officers race to the water altar, the Fountain of the Four Rivers, and Robert is told to wait while both officers proceed to inspect a bus parked by the fountain. The assassin quickly eliminates both officers and drops a bound and weighted Cardinal Baggio into the fountain and escapes. Patrick orders the guards to evacuate the cardinals in St. Peter's Square. Robert screams out for help and is quickly assisted by bystanders, and they are able to rescue the cardinal, who tells Robert that the Illuminati lair is Castel Sant'Angelo. The police surrounds the area, and Vittoria tells Robert of her suspicions on Commander Maximilian, who took her journals. While the police breaks into the area, Robert and Vittoria discover a hidden passageway leading to the Vatican, being used as a hideout for the assassin. The police finds the bodies of Vincenzi and Olivetti in the bus which the assassin was spotted in. As Robert and Vittoria approach, the assassin receives his final payment. Maximilian counters the Camerlengo's order, instructing that the conclave remains sealed. Discovering a case with marks for 5 branding irons, they realize the 5th brand is the Camerlengo. Then the assassin confronts them at gunpoint but leaves the 2 unharmed. He claims he was hired by men of God and warns them to be careful. The assassin makes his way to a getaway vehicle and is killed when it explodes. While Robert and Vittoria race to the office of the Camerlengo, Maximilian beats them to it. On their arrival, Maximilian and Simeon are gunned down after Patrick screams that they are the Illuminati. Robert takes a key that slips from Maximilian's hand. A helicopter is brought in to evacuate the cardinals while the stolen antimatter is found at St. Peter's tomb below the church and is due to detonate in 5 minutes. Patrick, a former pilot in the army, seizes the canister and makes his way to the helicopter with the whole world watching as he carries the bomb single-handedly into the aircraft, which he flies deep into the clouds, and, as everyone waits in suspense, Patrick parachutes out seconds before the antimatter detonates, sending disastrous waves throughout the Vatican City, unleashing a powerful blinding shockwave, but fortunately, no lives are lost and the church is saved. Patrick parachutes down, though unconscious, but wakes up and is hailed as a hero with calls for him to be elected Pope by acclamation. A guard breaks the news of Patrick's heroics to the College of Cardinals, who immediately begin contemplating to acclaim him the next Pope of the Roman Catholic Church. Meanwhile, Robert and Vittoria retrieve the journals from Maximilian's office, discovering that he kept tabs on the Pope with hidden security cameras for medical reasons. They discover from a security footage that Patrick is the true mastermind behind the attacks. Patrick orchestrated the Pope's death and hired the assassin, plotting to have himself elected as Pope while making the Illuminati the scapegoat. The College of Cardinals sends for Patrick to join the conclave, but after watching the evidence as shown to them, they are in utter shock. Although Patrick, thinking he has succeeded, appears before them, and even though not a word is spoken, The shock in their eyes makes Patrick understand that they are now aware of his plot, so he runs away. But with all exits blocked by guards, he grabs a bottle of fuel and immolates himself before the guards can get hold of him. The following morning, the white smoke appears, and Cardinal Baggio, the only surviving cardinal out of the 4 kidnapped, is elected as the new pope. He chooses to take the name Pope Luke, an allusion to the biblical Luke being both a doctor and an apostle, symbolically bridging the gap between science and religion. Cardinal Strauss becomes the Pope's new Camerlengo and gives Galileo's book to Robert as appreciation for his assistance, asking that he returns it to the Vatican in his last will and testament. Pope Luke gives Robert and Vittoria a thankful nod before stepping out to the balcony to greet the world. This is Falcon Recaps. Thanks for watching.
Professor Langdon?